Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about the National Rubber Policy of 2019. But before we begin our lecture, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC and bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B, NABARD, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Now, let us begin our lecture on National Rubber Policy of 2019. First, let us understand what is the goal of the National Rubber Policy of 2019. So, the goal of the National Rubber Policy lies on two things. One is sustainability and second one is to improve the competitiveness. So, the National Rubber Policy aims at creating a well-developed value chain of environmentally sustainable and globally competitive rubber industry. So, the two pillars of the National Rubber Policy 2019 can be said as sustainability and competitiveness. Sustainability means without causing any harm to the environment. Second one is to globally become competitive in order to improve the quality. So these are the two broad goals of the National Rubber Policy. Now coming to the objectives of the National Rubber Policy of 2019, the first one again is to improve the sustainability and sustainability from all the dimensions including economic dimensions, social dimensions and environmental dimensions. So to make rubber industry or rubber plantations economically, socially and environmentally sustainable without causing any harm to the environment. Now the second objective is to focus on the value chain. So the focus on value chain would be given from upstream production. So it starts from production to the downstream manufacturing activities. So from production to manufacturing activities to create a viable supply chain. Now the third objective is to increase the area under cultivation for natural rubber. So the area under which rubber cultivation is taking place would be expanded. New planting would take place. And this will be taking place without causing any adverse impact on the forest or the natural ecosystem and the food security. So three things are taken into consideration here: the forest, natural ecosystem and the food security. Because when the area under rubber cultivation, it is mainly a plantation crop and it is not consumable crop. So the food security need not be affected. And also when the area expands under cultivation, it should not affect the forestry or the natural ecosystem. Now the next objective is to increase in productivity. It means that even within a small area under cultivation, the productivity or the output should increase. And for that, the government plans to adopt agro-management practices, systematic replanting of rubber, and also better income for the growers. So, productivity could be increased by adopting better agro-management practices, better technology, scientific methods, etc. Now the next objective is to meet the raw material requirement. So the domestic industry requires rubber as a raw material to a larger extent. So the next objective of the National Rubber Policy of 2019 would be to meet all the domestic requirements of domestic industry as a raw material. So rubber serves as a raw material for many of the domestic industries and this domestic demand would be met with domestic supply itself. So that is the next objective. Next objective is to ensure the quality of the processed forms of natural rubber. So the processed forms of natural rubber should meet the international standards. That is the next objective. And finally, facilitating exports is the next and the final objective of the National Rubber Policy of 2019. So, exports can be facilitated by improving the quality of the rubber and also the development of rubber product manufacturing sector. So, these are the broad objectives of the National Rubber Policy of 2019. Now, let us look at the global scenario of rubber production and consumption. So globally, rubber or natural rubber is considered as a commercial plantation crop And globally, the major producers of commercial rubber are Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, China, and India. And globally, the major consumers of rubber are China, India, US, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So here what we see is that the major producers are major consumers as well. And in case of India, it is sometimes that the domestic production of rubber is not enough to meet the domestic demand. So we will come to the details of India's domestic production and demand later in this lecture. So here what you need to understand is that the major producers of natural rubber or processed rubber are themselves the major consumers also. Now the rubber is also a strategic industrial raw material. So it is a very significant raw material in some of the strategic industries. Now coming to the status of India. In India, the traditional rubber growing states are the states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So they are the traditional rubber growing states, and these states account for 81% of rubber production in the country. Now the non-traditional rubber growing regions in the country include the northeastern region like the Tripura, Assam, Meghalaya, etc. and some other states like Odisha, Karnataka, Maharashtra, West Bengal. So we can say that in India there are both traditional and non-traditional regions that grows rubber. And out of the total rubber produced in the country, 70% is sheet rubber and 17% is block rubber, and latex constitutes around 12%. Now coming to the consumption. India is the second largest consumer of natural rubber globally, and it accounts to around 1.1 million tons of rubber consumption annually. Now coming to the export potential of rubber for India. So the natural rubber is not a traditional export oriented commodity. That is because there is a current deficit in the production. We have seen that India is the second largest consumer of rubber globally. So even though India is a leading producer of rubber, because of the domestic requirement which is more than the supply that is available at the domestic market, India is not a traditional export oriented rubber cultivator or rubber producer. And this is because of the deficit in production. So deficit in production means the demand for rubber is more than the production or the supply domestically. And here what is more important is that India is also an import dependent country for its rubber requirements. So even though India is a leading producer, it is not enough to meet the requirements of the domestic industries, and therefore India imports rubber in order to meet the raw material requirements of the domestic industries. But India has an export potential for rubber, and this potential can be harnessed if the production increases. So if the production of rubber in the country increases, this will help in reducing the import dependency, meeting the domestic requirements of rubber for the domestic industry as a raw material, and also to expand the export potential of the country. Now let us understand what are the legal and institutional framework for rubber production in India. The first one is the Rubber Act of 1947. The Rubber Act of 1947 provides for development of rubber industry under the control of the Union. Now, agriculture is a state subject, but rubber has come under the ambit of the Union government. Why is this so? This is because rubber is mainly a plantation crop, and plantation comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. It is not considered on par with the agricultural sector. Therefore, rubber plantation or rubber cultivation and rubber production does not come under the state government under the agricultural subjects, but it comes under the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And the Rubber Act of 1947 provides for the development of rubber industry under the control of the Union. Now, the second institutional framework is the Rubber Board of India, and it is headquartered in Kerala in the district of Kottayam, and this is directly under the administrative control of the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And the purpose of Rubber Board is to undertake or to assist scientific, technical and economical research in rubber production, and it also provides required training in the field of rubber production. Now the third legal framework is regarding the FDI. FDI means foreign direct investment. The government has allowed for 100% of FDI in plantations of rubber, coffee, tea, cardamom, palm oil tree, olive oil tree, etc. This is to enhance the production and also to enhance the investment in the plantation crops in the country. So furthering the investments will enhance the production of these plantation crops, and that is why government has given 100% FDI for all these plantation crops. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and for any queries regarding your preparations, you can get in touch with me on my Facebook page, or you can write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you.